This is Rael. He believes that by chopping off your head and transplanting it onto the body of a donor clone, humans can achieve immortality. And he doesn't just believe it, he's been experimenting with it too. No, Tibor, not on himself. Tibor, that's not nice. Rael is also the founder of Clonaid, a company claiming to have successfully created 13 human clones so far. The Raëlians claim they're not technically involved with human cloning or Clonaid, even though its leader founded and is believed to have financed the company and has literally appeared in front of the US Congress on behalf of the Raëlians and Clonaid to talk about the legitimacy and the need for human cloning. This story promises to be as weird as it is terrifying, and I've got a stunning reveal on Clonaid that'll rock your world, so stick around to the end to find out what it is. So, who are the Raëlians? Who is Clonaid? Are the claims of human cloning legit? And why is nobody talking about the Raëlian nightmare of head and brain transplants for the future of human immortality? The Raëlian movement is a UFO religion founded by former journalist Claude Verhoeven in the 1970s. Claude, who is now known as Rael, claims he was visited one day by aliens who asked him to share the message that all human life on Earth was created as a part of a genetic engineering experiment by extraterrestrial beings who call themselves the Elohim. What does Rael's story remind me of? Nope, not ringing any bells. Since 1973, the movement has attracted a significant number of followers, with estimates suggesting there are over 50,000 Raëlian members worldwide. The movement's leader, Rael, has been a vocal advocate for human cloning and has even testified before a House subcommittee on the subject. In his testimony, he stated that cloning is a key step in achieving immortality, and that his ultimate goal is the creation of a new generation of super beings able to live forever through an involved process of human cloning. Let that sink in for a moment. A new generation of superhumans who will live forever. And these genetically superior superhumans will retain the memories of their original souls throughout eternity. How? Well, not through the cloning process. You can be sure of that. That's not how cloning works. But through something more dark and sinister and gruesome than any normal person could ever possibly imagine. But first, in the Raëlian movement, the ritual of the transmission of the genetic code is their most important ritual. And no, the genetic code is not a new book by Dan Brown. Dibs on that one. Dan Brown? I'm watching you. The transmission of the genetic code is a sacred and spiritual ritual. The ritual is performed 4 times a year, and it involves telepathic communication with the Elohim, the aliens, along with the collection of the participants' genetic code for safekeeping by Clonaid. Safekeeping for what? For the future cloning process and the achievement of immortality, of course. The genetic code is collected by the guide who dips their hand in water and places droplets onto the initiate's forehead. Hair and nail clippings are also collected and stored. And of course, as you have probably already guessed, a certain very specific bodily fluid is alleged to be collected through a sensual and erotic massage during the ritual. Use your imagination, and I'm sure you'll figure out what that means. Now, in fairness, I say alleged because the claims of cultural promiscuity and exploitation made by former members are completely denied by the Raëlian movement. When the Elohim return to Earth, the collected genetic codes will be used to make human clones. And how will they do this? I thought you'd never ask. In March of 1977, a few months after the groundbreaking announcement by scientists who successfully cloned a living sheep, Dolly, Rael founded a company called Clonaid. Rael's vision offers a unique perspective on cloning. He believes that cloning, with the assistance of head and brain transplants, holds the key to achieving immortality and a means to prolonging memories with the use of new donor bodies. And you heard that right, donor bodies. His vision is deeply rooted in his spiritual belief that humans are an extraterrestrial creation, the result of experimental cloning here on Earth to achieve more desirable genetics and biological superiority. At the helm of Clonaid is Brigitte Boisselier, the CEO, a Raëlian bishop, and the next in line to lead the Raëlians after Claude's passing. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little bit tricky. Both Brigitte and Rael acknowledge that there are indeed philosophical and ideological links between the Raëlian movement and the Clonaid company, but they make the claim that Clonaid is a private company, separate from and not funded by the movement itself, ignoring the fact that Rael himself founded the company. You know, the same Raëlian movement that denies being involved in human cloning. That one. The connection is strong enough to raise questions about the company's motivations. Some people have suggested that Clonaid's true goal is to create new generations of Raëlians, or on a more sinister note, to farm replacement organs and bodies for its members. And again, for full transparency and fairness, Boisselier has denied all of these claims, stating that the company's only goal is developing cloning technology solely as an aid for human reproduction to help infertile families to have children. So who the heck is Brigitte Boisselier anyway? And what does she know about cloning? Dr. Brigitte Boisselier is an accomplished French chemist and research scientist. She studied at the University of Paris and worked with the French National Center for Scientific Research as a biochemist. Her experience in the field of biochemistry and her research background made her a strong candidate to lead Clonaid's cloning efforts. Not to mention, of course, that she was already in tight with Rael as well as being a bishop in the Raëlian movement. Under Boisselier's leadership, Clonaid made headlines in 2002 with the announcement of the birth of Eve, a baby girl. The company claimed that Eve was the world's first human clone, produced through a cloning process called reproductive cloning. Human cloning is banned in France, and it's heavily restricted but not entirely banned in the United States. Brigitte claims that this has caused Clonaid to have to work in secret, and in countries that are friendlier towards human cloning, such as Israel, the birth country of Eve. It's because of these heavy regulations, outright bans, and the possibility of arrest or even imprisonment that Brigitte and Clonaid say their research has to be conducted in secret. Baby Eve was born on December the 26th. December the 26th. What does that remind me of? Nope, not ringing any bells either. Baby Eve was born on December 26 to an American mother in Israel as the result of a technique called somatic cell nuclear transfer. Somatic cell nuclear transfer, SCNT for short, is like photocopying but at a cellular level. The nucleus of a regular body cell, like a skin or blood cell, the somatic cell, is removed and transplanted into a donor egg cell that has had its nucleus removed. The donor egg cell is designed to help new life grow. As it begins to grow, it starts to divide, and eventually it creates a new organism that is a genetic clone of the original cell's owner. By the way, Eve's name is no coincidence. What does that one remind me of? Nope, not ringing any bells. It was chosen to emphasize Clonaid's godlike role in the creation of a new human life form. And by Clonaid, we mean Rael and the Raëlians. That alone should tell you everything that you need to know. It's like a dystopian science fiction movie that's actually coming to life. In 2003, Clonaid next announced the birth of Isabel. Isabel was born to a Dutch lesbian couple who were reported as stating they were really thrilled with the arrival of their new baby girl and were looking forward to parenthood. In 2004, Clonaid claimed that a sixth clone was born in Australia. The company announced that the baby, a boy, was born to an Australian couple. The news was even reported by several Australian news outlets, including the Sydney Morning Herald and the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Since then, Clonaid has gone on to claim that it's produced 13 human clones in total so far. And the strangest one of them all? American rapper Kid Buu claims that he is a second-generation clone who managed to escape from the Clonaid facility. And I'm not kidding. I wish I was. It's my guess that Kid Buu is even worse at math than I am, because he's 36 years old, and the Raëlians didn't start experimenting with human cloning until 2002, when Buu was already 14 years of age. But here's an even bigger problem. A clone is a living copy of the original, but it lacks the memory of the original. So how on earth do the Raëlians plan on solving this memory dilemma? What's the horrifying connection of memory and consciousness retention to immortality? Well, get ready to have your mind blown completely off. According to Rael and the Raëlians' own published information, they believe the idea of head and brain transplantation could be a viable means of memory and personality transfer in the pursuit of immortality. Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him well, Horatio. This creepy dark process is called brain data transfer, and it literally involves transplanting a living person's head and brain onto a clone donor body, allowing, I don't know, the person, clone, the abomination, to live with the full consciousness and memory of their previous life, with the added benefit of a fresh new body. The preservation of human memory and consciousness seems like a revolutionary breakthrough, and maybe even a good idea. No, not really. It doesn't seem like a good idea at all. It's a living horror show that is gruesome and sinister beyond imagination. The idea of transplanting heads and brains was first popularized by Italian neurosurgeon Sergio Canavero. Not only has Sergio proposed procedures for transplanting living human heads onto donor bodies, a medical miracle in itself, but he also claims that he's done it. It's a fascinating science fiction concept, but in real life it raises a whole bunch of philosophical, ideological, moral, and ethical issues, and that's just to name a few. One of the most disturbing aspects of the Raëlians' brain data transfer concept is the fact that it requires the sacrifice of a living clone. Let's break this down for crystal clarity. The living person's head and brain are cut off and surgically reattached to the living clone's donor body, which means that the head and brain of the living clone's donor body also has to be cut off. And now you're left with a former living human body and a former living clone's head and brain, both of which are alive but no longer needed, both to be tossed away into the garbage like yesterday's bad news. The horror of a living being, any living being, whether cloned or human, being sacrificed like this, it's unfathomable, not to mention beyond immoral and unethical. The implications of this are just staggering. It raises questions about what makes us human, the nature of identity and consciousness, and whether it is possible to transfer a person's essence, spirit, and soul into a new body. It raises concerns about the morality and ethics of creating and sacrificing living beings, even if they are clones, for the purpose of extending human life. It's a stark reminder of the dangers of playing God for scientific achievements. There are just too many moral and ethical issues, not to mention the value and dignity of life, human or otherwise. It also makes me wonder, where have I seen this before? Nope, not that one. Oh yeah, The Island. The 2005 film starring Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson tells the story of a futuristic world where clones are created as donor bodies and spare parts for wealthy and privileged clients. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's actually a pretty good movie. It strikes me that Rael, Brigitte, and the scientists at Clonaid must have seen it too. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I mean, it's been almost 20 years now, I'm about to ruin the experience for you. The story takes place in a dystopian future where so-called humans are living in an underground facility called Utopia. They believe they are the last lucky survivors of a catastrophic event that made the surface of the Earth uninhabitable. In this controlled environment, their every need is taken care of. And then every once in a while, a lucky few inhabitants win a lottery to live on a cleared and cleaned and inhabitable paradise-like tropical island up on the Earth's surface. But Ewan and Scarlett begin to question the true nature of Utopia, and they quickly learn they are the inhabitants of a cloning facility. They are clones, created to serve as spare donor parts for their wealthy and powerful sponsors, after which their unneeded bodies will just simply be disposed of. And the surface? It hasn't actually experienced the catastrophic event at all. As for the island, it's simply a way to trick the clones into remaining calm and controllable, a way of explaining where the so-called winners keep disappearing to after they've been harvested. Needless to say, when the clones find out, they don't like it. If Clonaid and the Raëlians have actually created living clones, human-like beings with their own unique identity and consciousness, they've essentially created a scenario where human beings are nothing more than objects, commodities, rather than living beings with inherent value and worth. This is a deeply disturbing and dehumanizing concept, as it reduces both humans and clones to mere meat bags, sellable on an open market, rather than recognizing either as living, thinking, and feeling individuals. The philosophical and ethical questions about the nature of personhood, identity, and humanity are just mind-blowing. Is a clone human? Is a clone sentient? Does it have a sense of its own existence and a will for preservation? Does a clone created for organ harvesting or as a donor body even have any rights? What about dignity? Or are they mere products for sale? If clones are not human, well, then what are they? Can they be used for sport or other diabolical purposes like those from the movies The Most Dangerous Game, The Hunger Games, The Condemned, or The Running Man? Tibor, add those to my movie night watch list! And what of the former human who is transplanted into a non-human donor body? Are they still considered human, or do they become something else entirely? The ship of Theseus Paradox is a classic thought experiment that raises questions about the nature of identity and change. It's a paradox that has puzzled philosophers for centuries, and it has interesting implications for our understanding of the Raëlians' claims about cloning and brain transplantation. Imagine the ship in which the hero Theseus sailed to Crete, where he defeated the Minotaur. Over time, the ship's planks and timbers begin to rot and need to be replaced. As each plank is replaced, the question arises, is the ship still the same ship? If not, at what point does it cease to be the same ship? Imagine that a person, let's call her Ava, has her head and brain transplanted onto a clone of her own body, effectively replacing her original body with a brand new one. Is the resulting being still Ava? Or is it the clone of Ava? Or is it an entirely new entity? The paradox highlights the complexities of identity and what makes us human. Is it our DNA, our physical characteristics, or our memories and experiences? Or is it all of those combined? If you take one part away, what happens to the rest? If the clone has the same DNA and physical characteristics as the original Ava, but different memories and experiences, is the clone Ava? Oh, my superbrain, it hurts. This can't and shouldn't be real. Experts and scientists have expressed skepticism about Clonaid's claims of human cloning. The fact that Clonaid has not provided any verifiable evidence, including access to the human clones, has led skeptics to believe that this is just one big hoax. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's for notoriety, fame, fortune, or maybe it's to sell off a haunted Dybbuk box like Kevin Manis in our Dybbuk box video. If you haven't seen that one yet, watch it next. It's pretty interesting. Scientists have also pointed out that the success rate of cloning is extremely poor. They're surprised that Clonaid appears to have overcome these low success rates and the high failures associated to cloning. Dr. Ian Wilmot, the scientist who led the team that cloned Dolly the sheep, has also expressed skepticism about Clonaid's claims. In an interview with the BBC, Wilmot stated that Clonaid's claims were not credible and that he had seen no evidence to support their assertions. He also pointed out the number of medical and health issues Dolly experienced and suggested the possibility of new viruses and diseases as a result of cloning gone bad. Other scientists have also questioned the validity of Clonaid's claims. Dr. Robert Lanza, a cloning expert at Advanced Cell Technology, has stated that Clonaid's methods are not scientifically sound and that their claims are not supported by any credible evidence. And many scientists have also pointed out that Clonaid's CEO, as accomplished as Dr. Brigitte Boisselier is, she simply does not have the scientific training, background, and expertise in the field of cloning to pull something like this off. And just when you thought it was safe to go back into the genetic water, there are also counter-arguments that support Clonaid's research and work. Some supporters of Clonaid argue that the media has misled the public about the risks and benefits of human cloning, unfairly maligning the company. A few supporters even go so far as to say that the company's claims of human cloning are being suppressed by governments and powerful elites who are opposed to the technology. And then there are those who claim that Rael has a unique spiritual and intuitive understanding of the cloning processes, in part as a gift from the visiting Elohim aliens who claim to be our creators, that allow him to achieve success where everyone else has failed. Dr. Brigitte Boisselier herself states that Clonaid's research is focused on the therapeutic benefits of cloning, such as the creation of stem cells for medical use. That the company's technology is based on the same sound scientific principles that have been successfully tested with animals, including pet dogs and cats. She also points out that the claims of lack of transparency are completely false. The company's research has been peer-reviewed and published in reputable scientific journals, and that the company is committed to sharing its research with the scientific and academic communities. The Raelian movement, once infamous for its outlandish claims of human cloning, has largely faded from the public eye in recent years. The press, having been burned by the movement's repeated hoaxes, has lost interest in attending Raelian press conferences. And Rael? He has since moved the Raelian headquarters to Japan, where he now lives, and the Raelians continue to attract new members. Clonaid, the movement's cloning arm, claims to be banking DNA samples for clients and Raelians who want to be cloned after they die. But its website is outdated and broken, and the organization appears to be in disarray. And all of my requests for information and comments, they've resulted in absolute silence. And remember that stunning reveal that I promised at the beginning of the video? Well, get this. Shortly after the controversy in 2004, Clonaid and its founders quietly founded another company called STEMaid International Limited. The links to Clonaid, Brigitte, Boisselier, Rael, and the Raëlians are barely obvious. STEMaid promotes itself as a medical research and development agency, and is very actively providing embryonic stem cells to the medical community. So yeah, the living plot of the island thickens. And since Rael claims the aliens will make themselves known in 2035, I guess we're about to find out for sure in just a few years. So I'd like to know, what do you think? Are clones people with all the rights and benefits of being human? Or are they something else entirely? Should they be protected, or is it fair to think of them as simple replacement parts for when we need them? And what about us humans in pursuit of immortality? Will head transplants actually work? And is the new body-human head combo actually human anymore? Should cloning be banned? Let me know in the comments down below. And please, while you're down there, be sure to subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. I really enjoy sharing these stories, but I need your help to grow the channel. So go ahead, subscribe now. I'll wait.
A few moments later.
The quest for immortality and the blurring of lines between human and clone is just the beginning. The Raelians' pursuit of eternal life through cloning and head transplants might just very well be a gift from the Elohems. But I don't think it's the way to get ahead in life. I know, right? I knew you'd get it, Tibor. But what if the key to unlocking the universe's secrets of life and death lies not in the labs of Clonaid, but in the depths of the Peruvian desert? Recently, a team of archaeologists made a shocking discovery that could change everything we thought we knew about human history. Two tiny humanoid bodies estimated to be over 1,000 years old were unearthed in a remote region of Peru. Are these bodies evidence of an ancient civilization that defied the laws of nature? Or is this proof of something even more extraordinary? The truth will blow your mind, and this time, you won't lose your brain. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a great night.
This has been the Supernatural Chronicles. As the Carpathian night fades, many more mysteries remain. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and visit us online at www.supernaturalchronicles.com. Until next time, good night.